Now that life is returning to pre-COVID-19 travel, more places are starting to open up, but what can we expect when we are ready for that vacation? Here to help us get out of town, Collette Travels. Laura Carlson is hanging out with us today, fresh off of a trip to Croatia, I might add.
Yes, it was wonderful to finally be able to travel again and to travel overseas.
Well, let's talk a little bit about people. Now that, summer's here, they're ready to get out, they're ready to travel once again. We'll talk about Croatia in a minute, but I love this phrase that you have come up with, travel revenge, or revenge travel.
Yes, and I haven't come up with it, but it is part of the industry. And what it means is people are pent up. There's pent-up demand. They couldn't travel last year, so they are so ready to get out there and travel again. And that means that they are booking tours. They are taking longer tours than they normally would. They're doing back-to-back tours, so they're traveling more this year and next year than they would normally travel.
Well, because they've got to make up for last year.
That's
all
right.
the vacation that they missed. So you traveled to Croatia, being international, obviously. So are you seeing more people going the international route or staying, domestic?
Well, there's both, but international is definitely opening up. So you can now travel to, Greece and Iceland, Spain, Portugal. Austria just announced that they're opening up Poland. So all of these countries are opening up again, and it is safe to travel, so it's fun again.
Well, yeah, and how can people know exactly for sure kind of the protocols that they need to follow when traveling to those locations?
Right. Well, a travel agent is key. So you definitely want to book through a travel agent who has all of that knowledge. Now, Collette, as a tour operator, we provide that information to the agents so that they can communicate effectively on our tours what needs to be done.
Yeah, because you would hate to get there and then have to have had a COVID test or something like that and then not, and then have a big mess on your hands. Okay, let's talk Croatia. Start to finish, you check in there at the airport.
Yep.
Still wear a mask on the plane.
Correct. So masks on the plane are still required. We had to, show our vaccination card, but you could also go if you've had COVID in the last 90 days or if you had a negative test. So,
really?
And then for certain countries like Croatia, we had to fill out some information for the government online and upload our vaccination card. So I think you'll see that in several other countries as well, that they want to have that card on file to know that you're okay.
Yeah, and I know so many people are just ready to be done with the masks. Did you have to wear one when you got to Croatia and to your hotel?
Yeah, no. And it was interesting throughout the trip. At the first couple days, there were more mask wearing. Then by the end of the trip, there wasn't hardly any mask wearing. And it was because things were changing that quickly.
Yeah.
The countries are getting more and more of their people vaccinated, so they're loosening their requirements. And for example, when we first arrived, dining was only allowed outdoors.
Okay.
But then within 2 days, it was allowed indoors as well. And so things just opened up very quickly.
Well, yeah, and there's some folks enjoying a nice beverage there. I think we have some video actually of your trip as well that hopefully we can check out. So it looks like, was this a group excursion?
Yes, so Collette does guided tours, so we do fully guided tours, and this tour included some time staying in a hotel, and then we had 7 nights on a yacht.
Ooh.
And so Croatia has about 1,200 islands along the coast, and so it's perfect to take a small ship like this to be able to visit those islands and see the sights, go swimming off of the yacht.
Did you have to take some Dramamine with you? Because I would be nervous I'd get on a yacht for 7 days and then just be seasick the entire time.
Not at all.
No?
We didn't have anyone have any issues.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
there was one day the water was a little choppy, but you're really pretty close to land, going between the islands, so you're a little protected.
Fix your sights on the shore. There you go. Well, it looks absolutely beautiful. What was your favorite part? Besides being with your husband, obviously.
Of course. Just the country itself was such a surprise because it's this old world feel of the country, but yet it's not overpopulated. There's only 4 million people in the whole country.
Oh, wow.
So you're not in, and during, this time, it wasn't crowded. There was mountains along the water, which was maybe a little surprise to me how mountainous it was and rocky. the mountains were. So it was beautiful.
Well, and you know, though, we've also got some great, beautiful domestic locations that people
Yes.
can travel to as well. So if you had one to pick from, out of all of them, where would you send people here domestically?
I would do something with the national park. So the national park tours are wonderful, and we have several different ones. Kind of a favorite of mine is Painted Canyons of the West.
Oh.
And it travels between Denver and Las Vegas and takes in 5 national parks.
Fantastic. Are these like for adults, or can families participate? Because
yeah.
that sounds like a great family vacation.
It is. Families can go too. So we often in the summertime have children, teenagers, young adults, all ages that go on the tours. And, you know, something with the national parks, you may have heard of how crowded the parks
Yes.
are. So going with a company like ours that has everything all arranged, we already have the hotel reservations and the restaurant reservations, and we can get in there. So it's a good way to go.
Yeah, keeping it simple for families who want to take one less thing off their plate besides worrying if we packed enough snacks for the trip. So we appreciate you being with us.
You're
welcome
welcome.
home. I'm sure she's ready to plan her next vacay here.
Yes.
All right. If anybody wants to connect with Laura and her team there at Collette, there was their website, and there's a look at their Facebook, and we'll have all that information on our website, CILiving.tv.